Hi everyone, so today I want to make this card. So this card has been born from this one that I did a while ago from a craft tool. And so I had a few people saying, can I please make it? So I'm doing a version of this, but obviously I've changed the base. And in the video I do show you what the measurements would be if you want to make this one. But you really can change up the measurements on the bottom depending on the size of your panels. So this works in exactly the same way. But it's just that I've done it with these new dies. So these dies are from Rosa Studio. So if you use my code ICE20, you'll get yourself 20% off your order. And it comes with those 3 panels. Well, you probably would have seen my craft tool video, but it's these 3 different panels and the little deer is the set. And it's really quite a cute little set. It gives you lots of depth. But there's loads of things you could do with this particular card shape. You really could go to town. Obviously, as you've seen on this one, I've used 2 completely separate dies, this sun one and the palm tree. And then these palm trees were separate again, a different die set altogether. And I've teamed them up and just stuck them on the front. So if you wanted to, maybe you only have like, maybe you've got a bit of card that is like that, trees or whatever. And then you could then have the inside one could be like a deer, and then at the front here, maybe if you've got a separate tree die, or you could really go to town. Or you could just put acetate and have different snowflakes. There's lots of things you could do with this. So yeah, so we're going to have a go with this today. So let's get into it. Okay, so for this card, you're going to need some kind of die cut panel, or you can build your own scene up. So this is the, I've used this from the die that I got from Rosa Studio. So if you use ICE20, you can get 20% off your order. Link will be on the screen and in the description below. So I've cut it out, and what I've done, this white, I've actually taken my card and I've put some double-sided tape just around the edge. I missed that bit there, but just around the edge on the card. So then when I die cut it, I've got something kind of, it will stick in parts. You can do the whole lot if you want to, because I'm going to stick these onto acetate. So I've done these 3. So I'm just going to go ahead before we do anything else and quickly just stick these down onto my acetate sheets. Now these are 0.1mm. These are actually heat resistant acetate. It's the only acetate I had, which is why I'm using it. I didn't really want to have to use my heat resistant acetate, but that's all I had, so that's what we're using. And this is actually from Dovecraft. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick these panels onto here. Now these panels, because these panels measure 5.5 by 3, but I wanted an extra inch at the bottom of my acetate, like just an acetate section at the bottom, so then they can stick in place in the base that we're going to make. So what I'm going to do is on the acetate, I'm going to make sure I stick them so they line up along the top, and then you've got an inch gap at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. A little tip as well is if you bring something white in, you can see your acetate better. So that's a whole lot easier to see than if I just had it on my work surface. Right, so I'm going to go ahead now and just stick these down. Okay, so then you're going to need 2 pieces that are 1 inch by 7.5. And what you're going to do is you're going to score them at 5.5 and at 7. And then you need 1 piece that is 1 inch by 7. This one you need to score at 3/4 and at 6 1/4. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to take these 2. Let's just turn these 2 over. I'm going to put some red tape on here. You can use wet glue as well. I think I'm going to go red tape for this one. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take one of them and I'm going to turn it over. So this is going to be the front. So what I want to do first is I'm going to take this and I'm just going to stick this in to there like that. I just think it's going to be easier to stick it in now rather than after I've put the base together. So I'm going to go ahead now and just stick that in there. And I'm going to use red tape again. Okay, so I've stuck mine down a bit wonky, as you might be able to see. You can see my hand. So yeah, I've got a bit of a gap there. Probably should have done it the way around. Anyway, lesson learned. So there you go. So don't do what I just did. Okay, so make sure you get it straight. You might want to use your scoreboard. That might help you to get it straight. I'm not sure, but yeah, don't get it wonky. So then I'm going to take the other piece, which is this one. And this one, so because this is this way round and I've got the little flap there, this one needs to be the opposite way round. So these little sections need to be on the right, so the opposite side of these. So that's going to be that way round. And then I'm going to take the back panel, and this needs to be stuck on there like that. And again, this needs to be stuck straight. So I'm going to go ahead now and try to make sure that is stuck straight. That one's pretty much straight, I think, so that's good. So now what we're going to do is going to put the two together, and we'll do this one in a minute. So this one is going to go, we're going to stick this to here. So I'm just going to peel off the backing of these. There's probably a bit of an easier way to do this. If you know of an easier way, please put it in the comments so that other people can see the easier way of doing it. This is just the way that I kind of did it originally with that first card that I did. So I'm just going to put this down like this, and then we need to make sure that this fold line lines up against that cut edge, and we also need to make sure that this is straight. So we're going to stick that down like that. Okay, so you can add the middle bit in now if you want to, but I think I'm going to stick the outside first and then add the middle bit in, because I just think it's more important for the outside piece to be all kind of, you know, properly right, rather than, yeah, faff around and get it wrong. So what I'm going to do is I've obviously folded it along where the tab is, and so now I'm going to fold this along here like that, bring it along, make sure it's completely straight along that bottom edge, and stick it down. So then when you pop it up, you have that. Okay, so then we need to go ahead and add this one, and I'm gonna add this onto the back of this strip here, and this time round I am actually going to, I might need to trim a tiny bit off that bit there because it's just slightly too wide. So let me just trim this little bit of extra acetate off like that, and then that should fit fine, hopefully. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some tape on the bottom of, actually I'm going to do it on the other side of this one because it's going to be easier to add it onto here than to the acetate. So we're going to add this onto here, and then I'm going to take my card and I'm going to line this up, making sure the crease line lines up with the edge there, and making sure that this butts up against the bottom of that cut edge. And then we're going to very carefully try and stick it down so that it's nicely married up against that edge. So that is kind of how the one on the front should have looked, but didn't. So actually doing it that way around is a bit easy. She's got a bit more control. So then these sort of go around the corner like that. Now before I do this, before I stick this one in, I really want to stick my deer down, because I've got, as part of this set, you get a little deer. And so I thought it might be quite nice. I was trying to work out, let me just place this in and you kind of get an idea of where we're heading. So that is going to go in there like that. Now, I was sort of thinking originally about having my deer in the middle here, but then I quite like the fact of him being at the back. But now I'm just wondering, do I want him there? I probably want him here, don't I? Yeah, I'm going to put him on the middle section. So I'm just going to cut out Mr. Deer, and then we're going to stick him onto this middle section. Okay, so I cut him out of Miri, and I made sure to put tape on the back before I cut him out, so then at least he's kind of sticky. And then I want to stick him about, so he's kind of about there. So it's going to be about there, I would say. So now what we want to do is go ahead and either add red tape or wet glue. I'm going to add wet glue for this time round, just because it's easier to kind of get wiggle room time. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue on here and a bit of glue on here, and also because I'm not using acetate, I can go ahead and use my Yoo-hoo glue for this. So then we're going to take this piece here, I'm going to fold these in and very carefully slide it down and then slot it into place. And what you want to do is you want to get it so that it butts up with the back. So I'm just going to put this in like that, and I'm actually going to lie it flat to actually stick it, because then I know it's definitely going to fit in the envelope. Now hopefully this should not measure, yes, it measures 7 inches wide, so this will fit in an envelope for a 5x7 card. Obviously you've got a bit more here because this is only 4 inches, but it just means you've got an inch to play with. So if you wanted to have some fun, or you want, you know, you've got panels that are a bit bigger than you know these are, then you can go a bit bigger with it. So all we need to do now is add a little greeting on the front, and I'm going to put something that kind of covers up that gap a little bit, but it's quite sweet. So this is basically the same kind of idea that I did for this card here. So this is exactly the same method, I've just changed the measurements. So for this, obviously just do it, depending on what panel you've got, you can then adjust your measurements. So these panels are actually the same, well no, they're slightly different to those actually, they're slightly different size. So for this one, my main strip across the front was 6.5 inches wide, so long by an inch, and I scored it at 2 inches and at 6 inches. So I had 2 of those, and then the piece in the middle here, which again is the same as that middle piece, so it's half, and then here, that measured, would have measured 6 inches by 1 inch by 6 inches, and I scored at 1 inch and at 5 inches. Okay, so that's what I did for that, and I put it together exactly the same way. But obviously with this one I only had 2 panels, and then the front section, these were loose die cuts. So if you wanted to, you could do one with different die cuts, but they're basically the same card, it's just a different way round to doing it. Right, I'm going to go ahead now and find a greeting for in there. Okay, so I've cut this Merry Christmas greeting. This is an old first edition die, and I'm just going to put this on here and have that ribbon go round the outside, because then it kind of covers the join, but it also makes a nice little extra. And what I'm going to do, because that's obviously bouncing up slightly, I'm going to stick some red tape on the back, so the whole thing will then hopefully lie flat. So I'm just going to go ahead now, and then I can stick that down, and this red tape is just big enough to be able to do that. And then I realised at the back, so obviously that's the front, I realised at the back you can see the tape, which is really annoying. So what I meant to do was, this back acetate panel was not going to be an acetate panel. I was going to actually use a solid panel to put over the back of the trees, so then you've got a big panel to write on. But because I haven't done that, what I'm going to do is I've just cut out a piece here that's 1.5 by 5.5, and then cut a 1.25 by 5.25 white piece, and I'm just going to put this over the top there, and that will be my little place to write, and it will just get sent to somebody who, you know, I don't say too much to. The other thing as well you could do is you can die cut this out again and just make it so it's sticky on the front, and just add it over the top, so then you end up getting rid of those, you don't see the glue because you're kind of sticking your die cut over the back of your die cut. So that's the only problem, is I did forget to do that. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead now and just stick this piece down. Okay, so there you have your finished cards. Obviously you've got your little deer in the middle, your happy Christmas, stands up nicely on your desk, it folds flat, fits in an envelope for a 5x7 card. It actually only measures 4x7, but yeah. And then you've got a little bit of space on the back to write, and as I said, if you put a whole panel on the back there, then you'd have a whole heap of space to write. But yeah, so that is the card for today. Please go and check out cocoarosastudio.com. Use my code ICE20 to get yourself 20% off your order. And so yeah, so please like and subscribe as well. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.